Fake questions, real answers. These are a bunch of questions I want to answer. I don't want to wait for you to ask them. So I ask them to myself. Dear Colin, if there's one NFL head coach whose job you wouldn't want this year, whose would it be? Well, I don't like being forced into things. So I think he's actually a good coach, but I wouldn't want to be Bears head coach Matt Nagy. He has a lot of has-tos. He has to win. He really has to play Justin Fields. The fans will demand it, and he's better than Andy Dalton. He has to overcome and compensate for a GM I just don't trust. He's had 3 seasons with 2 playoff appearances. So if he gets to a playoff, he probably has to win a game. This is a guy that got Mitch Trubisky to the playoffs. Does everybody understand? He got Mitch Trubisky to the playoffs. I like him, but I wouldn't want to be him. Dear Colin, you see, Calvin Johnson didn't thank the Lions at his Hall of Fame ceremony. Brings up a great question. Which NFL player was most let down by his organization? Barry Sanders again. I mean, think about it. Barry Sanders led the NFL in rushing 4 times in a 7-year stretch when it was a running league. The only other player to lead the league in rushing during that span was Emmitt Smith, who had 4 rushing titles, and he won 3 Super Bowls. I mean, the way I look at it, as an organization, if you can't get your shit together, I don't owe you anything. Dear Colin, did you see that George Karl, former NBA coach, is getting blowback because he said Melo was a ball hog and a poor defender with the Nuggets? Haven't you been saying the same thing for decades? Yes, and there are just certain truths that people don't want to hear. Melo lacked so much willingness to be a good teammate that as one of the great mid-range forward shooters of all time, he wouldn't take an extra step back and make it a 3. He wouldn't defend. Jeremy Lin wouldn't play with him. He just didn't get it. He will make the Basketball Hall of Fame for one thing, shooting 2s. Totally selfish, absolute ball hog, never in great shape. Close your eyes right now and imagine Melo playing basketball. Odds are he's shooting a long 2, probably from the right side of the court. It's burned into your memory. It's mostly all he did. Dear Colin, if you could pick one college team right now and move them to another conference with everybody moving these days, who are you picking and where are they going? You know, I've said this before. I'd take Texas and move them into the Pac-12, not the SEC. I always think fit in life matters. All right, Texas feels like a Pac-12 school. Texas is in Austin. It's more progressive. The Pac-12 is in cooler cities. Austin, Texas, far cooler cities. You look at the Pac-12. Palo Alto, Los Angeles, Seattle, Tempe, Boulder. These are great, fun cities. Starksville, honestly, Tuscaloosa, Auburn. I just always thought from the academics to their politics, UCLA is not defined by sports. Texas is not defined by sports. Got to be honest with you. Most of the SEC is defined by football. Doesn't feel like Texas to me. Dear Colin, what's the stat in the NFL that people obsess over that means absolutely nothing to you? That's an easy one. Total passing yards. First of all, I talked about it on TV this week. Never in the history of the NFL, or at least the Super Bowl era, has the passing yards leader won the Super Bowl. Last year, Deshaun Watson led the league, Texans 4-12. The year before, Jameis Winston, 5,000-yard season. Listen, throwing for over 4,000 yards in the offensive-leaning league is not that impressive. Matt Schaub did it 3 times. Andy Dalton twice. Kirk Cousins 5 times. Jameis Winston 3 times. You have to be incompetent not to throw for 3,200 yards. These are just not that impressive. It's like a car. I'm no longer impressed that your car can go 0 to 60 in 4 or 5 seconds. We have drones that can go 0 to 60 in 1.7 seconds. If a drone can do that, why should I be impressed that a car takes basically 3 times longer to do that? The car's got like a 100-year head start. It can't be half as fast as a drone? That's how I see it.